On September 9, 2017, Arknights dropped its first PV, showcasing the art and concept of the game. Many subtle details hidden inside the video. Some of them are not decrypted until 2 years later. And some of those puzzles remains unresolved till today. Here is one of these puzzles. At the very last of the video, we can find this. Let's put this frame into Photoshop and adjust exposure. Those 2-bit number turned out to be ASCII 2 code. They reads, "For all men tragically great are made so through a certain morbidness, all mortal greatness is but disease." Though there is some minor difference, it is surely a quote from the novel Moby Dick written by Herman Melville, as shown at start of this video. Personally, I haven't read Moby Dick. Wiki says it's about a whale hunter, and a whale called Moby Dick. A whale. Wonder where I have seen it? According to the wiki, Moby Dick is a sperm whale. And this is what its skeleton looks like. So, Rhodes Island is actually an upside-down whale skeleton. Though the main storyline is far apart from anything about whales and ocean, Sea has a surprisingly high rate of appearance through many game events. What could this mean? The first thing comes into my mind after Moby Dick is abyssal hunters. Namely Spectre and Scotty. Andrina is a special case, and since she's not out yet, and then, let's exclude her for now. Her profile doesn't tell us much anyway. We know they both have incredible physical strength and they lack the knowledge of modern originium arts. The fact that Spectre has unstable sanity but still devastatingly powerful, indicates she probably would be as strong as Scotty back when she was sane. With their incredible physical strength, they used to fight gigantic creatures from the sea, also with the help of blue poison. But what happened after? How did Spectre go insane? How did they end up in Rhodes Island? Before we have some guesses, there's a region called Iberia, is also worth mention. We can peek the situation in Iberia through the profile of Thorn and Weedy. Since they are not out yet for N, to keep things simple, for now just know that Iberia is having some religious turmoil going on right now, and many people share the same ancestry with Igor people, or Iberia might even belongs to Igor region. Voice lines of Spectre and the fact that she belongs to some kind of religion, reminds me of cults. I mean, this voice line sounds exactly like some cult villains in anime. At first, I thought this line from Spectre, is that she mistakes Rhodes Island's treatment, as drugs she was forced to take, back when she's in some sorts of cult, due to her unstable mind state. But the story from the event Granny and the Treasure of Nights changed my mind. This is Scotty asking Calcit about the drug used on Spectre, which is some kind of neuro drug that made from originium. As we know, that Spectre was already insane when Rhodes Island rescued her. And Scotty had no idea that Spectre went insane, when they first met on Rhodes Island. Though we don't know what kind of drug this is, it is natural that Scotty is not asking medicine treatment from Rhodes Island, but asking the cause of Spectre's insanity. So that voice line has a high chance to be Spectre's actual flashback. Furthermore, in the event Heart of Surging Flame, Alti, a band member of Ouse, asking Calcit how did those special Igor people were born. This question strongly implies that abyssal hunters were involved in some human experiment. This assumption is also strongly backed by Scotty's profile. Note here's a little translation of discrepancy. In Chinese version, this part translates differently. It's more like they don't have time and energy to deal with her right now. So, here's my take on Abyssal Hunter's story. Note that this is purely assumptions. There is an ancient and giant organization existing in Igor region, and they have a long history fighting gigantic sea monsters. At some point, they performed some human experiments, created super soldiers like Scotty and Spectre, to fight sea monsters, with the byproduct that they are allergic, or even repelling any originium things. Right now, this war has ended or got interrupted? Remember the religious turmoil mentioned in Iberia? Since Iberia has a close tie with Sea and GORIE, my guess is that this organization may got involved in this turmoil, thus they don't have time and energy to deal with her now. Scotty and Spectre took the chance escaped but Spectre failed, so, as punishment, the organization forced her to take originium-made drugs which caused her insanity. As for this line from Spectre, it's likely that someone who against this organization, took advantage of her insanity, brainwashed her into a massacre. Throughout the game, either operator's profile, or the main story, a similar statement often gets mentioned here and there, which is that there is always something bigger than you manipulating everyone. Everyone is but a pawn. Even the logo of Rhodes Island. Well, technically it's rook, not pawn. But you get what I mean. In fact, the heavily emphasized chess theme in-game is another deep hidden story-related puzzle. This worth another video. For example, in the main story, game has mentioned multiple times that Rhodes Island could easily be crashed by any big city/power. Also, in Lizzie's profile, it states that Rhodes Island struggles being neutral around these big powers. My point is, abyssal hunters are just another victims of this tragic world. Despite their inhuman strength, they could do little to fight their destiny, but only to escape. Why did the war between abyssal hunters and sea monsters end? Where are those sea monsters now? The game already gave us the hint. Remember Royalty? The band member of Alice in the event Heart of Surging Flame. Her conversation with Cosset hinted that they are the enemies against abyssal hunters, or at least they share the same race. If anyone remember, in the event Granny and Treasure of the Knights, Scotty retrieved the key from the treasure chest, and gave it to Calcid. Apparently Calcid handed the key to Alice during their meeting, as a lead for them to accomplish some unknown purposes. This can be seen in the most recent event Gavial returns in Chinese server. So far we just know too little to make any assumptions. But their story seems to keep coming event by event. Eventually, we will get a hold on what's actually going on there. However, there's another thing that is purely my subjective guess, which is about their band name. Alive Until Sunset. Other than the clear reference to the rock band Dead by Sunrise in real world, I think the band name is also a reflection of their state. This is hinted in the Chinese New Year event, Ancient Forge. In short, the story of the event is Neon and Lava is filming a little movie. In the middle of the filming, Neon started to improvise her script. It turned out that her improvisations are basically true stories about herself, and history of the land. Note that Neon is an ancient creature, very ancient. So ancient that Originium might not even exist back in her time. Almost a godlike creature. In another dialogue between Neon and Closure, we can confirm that Neon and members of Alive Until Sunset share the same race. This indicates that owls are also some god-level being, though they are very young. The next part is making me really sad. Neon states that she doesn't have long. This is also can be seen in her profile. Now, my guess is, it's not only Neon who doesn't have long. It's actually their whole race doesn't have long, or she won't recommend Rhodes Island to her sisters as their last place. If this also applies to Alice, thus, Alive Until Sunset, implying their soon demise. If this is true, this also explains why the war between sea monsters and abyssal hunters ended. The organization might have changed their goal and causing chaos situation in Iberia. Enough about creatures related to sea. What about the sea itself? In the profile of Deep Color, we have some very interesting texts. Also note another little translation of discrepancy. In Chinese, the name of Deep Color means color of deep sea. Okay, some operators don't know the concept of the sea. This is a very weird saying. If some operators are referring to those operators who lack of a common sense, like Project Red, it seems unnatural to put such a sentence here in the profile of Deep Color. Would it be, the sea is in fact a really rare and secret thing in the Arknight universe? This would make a lot of sense. Even the game's summer event Heart of Surging Flame aren't taking place in a real sea, according to Amiya. A perfect excuse to sell bikini skins, I'd say. In fact, all game texts that describe sea are very invasive and implying its danger. This includes some amazing writing in the extra story they added to the second time of Heart of Surging Flame in Chinese server. It's the conversation between Thorn and Aya from Mouse. I will try my best to translate these. 'Cause this is some unusual writing, almost gibberish. It seems to me that the sea is almost a living thing. Some sort of abstract and comprehensible existence, almost like old beings in Cthulhu series. Another thing is that Aya calling sea home is yet strong evidence of AUSR from the sea. They are indeed the enemy of abyssal hunters. This isn't the only time game implying that the world of Arknights is actually some sort of living existence. We can find similar writings in a hidden ending of a new game mode that just come out in Chinese version. Basically, Kobe finds her way home, as she is welcomed by a mysterious beast which apparently is a Cerberus. And she rides the beast rushing to the horizon. As the game writes, world fades into rationality, landscape is left behind on the recognizable plane. She becomes a part of the wild, fused into bloodline of the land. She becomes the soil, she becomes the road. She lives on this land, forever. To me, this either means Kobe died, or she really is the descendant of Cerberus, which might be the equivalent to AUS of the sea. It is as if the land has its own consciousness as well. Last but not the least, in main story chapter 7 to 18. When Patriot died, as the last blood of Sarkis, when Digo, Originium in the Chernobyl seems resonates with his arts, controlling Patriot, states a prophecy. Though the texts are very confusing, this seems to me that Originium is also some kind of combined consciousness. It is also a living thing. Now if that's true, we have three big abstract existences in the Arknight universe. The first is the sea. The second is the land. The third is Originium. Remember that in Dion's story, she implied that there wasn't any Originium in this world. Now I have a really bold guess, that probably is wrong. But I couldn't help thinking. In old times, the sea and the land kept this world in balance. When the Originium comes, it infected the land, sickened the sea, breaking the balance, causing various catastrophes, volcano eruptions, tornadoes and might be also tsunamis. Rhodes Island contains the remains from sea, driving on the disastrous land, helping those who suffered from Originium. This is enough a metaphor that Rhodes Island could be the hope for this world, saving it from its demise. We don't know what lies beyond Rhodes Island's adventure, just like the novel Moby Dick. But we know one thing for sure. We are the hope for this tragic world. It all depends on you now. Doctor.
скорой гибелью гром.